A scene unfolds, marked by an unsettling presence of blood. An urgent voice pierces the tension, calling for the charge officer. This is 29-year-old Jessica Divnani. The footage that follows captures the harrowing moments after her seemingly perfect life spiraled into chaos. On February 27, 2018, anticipation filled the air at Jessica's home in Deltona, Florida. Her fiancé, Patrick Delacerta, awaited the arrival of a special package, a custom-made engagement ring, a symbol of love and commitment he intended to surprise Jessica with. The night prior, Patrick had left Jessica a tender voicemail, filled with affection. He whispered, "I love you. Good night, sweet dreams. Good morning. I'll call or text when I wake up." Tragically, those would be his final words, for after that moment, Patrick vanished without a trace. At 11 o'clock a.m., the Volusia County Sheriff's Department received a chilling call about a man found shot in his own home. As officers arrived, they cautiously navigated the expansive 9-acre property, acutely aware that the shooter may still be lurking in the shadows. Approaching the guest house, the officers were met by Jessica, who appeared visibly shaken. "Ma'am, come over here. Stay behind the tree," they instructed. But nothing could brace them for the horrific scene that lay just beyond their view. Inside, on the floor near the entrance, lay 25-year-old Patrick, struck down by 4 gunshots fired through the glass door. The officer's heart sank as one remarked, "I don't know how we're going to get past when we get up the stairs. There's blood at the top of that." "There's also a camera above us," another officer noted, their minds racing with the implications. Unbeknownst to them, the shooter could be watching, waiting, and calculating their next move. "Careful, officers, near inside," came the warning. "Announce yourself now," rang out as the officers made their way into the guest house. Others fanned out across the property, searching other buildings for signs of danger. "Careful, announce yourself. Be cautious if you're finding out yourself," came the directive. "All right, go ahead nice and slow, guys. Officer in there, come on now." The chilling realization settled in that the killer had managed to escape. Yet, the officers remained oblivious to the lurking threat still present, as Jessica remained in peril. The very man she would soon be seen with, a figure who appeared to offer her solace, had been orchestrating the murder of her fiancé for months. His intentions were sinister, and he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. "Clear! Clear, all good! This building is secure? Are there any others that we need to clear?" As the police secured the area, Jessica waited anxiously in a patrol car, her mind racing. Before long, the sound of news helicopters filled the sky. A 25-year-old man from Volusia County lay dead, shot through his front door. This was no random act of violence. Meanwhile, Patrick's father, Max, was on his way home, unaware of the tragedy that had unfolded. Max, who shared the 9-acre property with Patrick, had been working about an hour and a half away when the shooting occurred. Upon his return, he was met with the horrifying reality, completely devastated by the loss of his son. Meanwhile, Max, Patrick's father, faced the profound pain of loss. "I never got to say goodbye to my son. I never got to talk to him. Nothing." Yet amidst his sorrow, he became a crucial part of the investigation, revealing a clue that could shed light on the case. Max had received a phone call from someone impersonating a delivery driver at the gate. There was a sign instructing delivery drivers to call a specific number, which happened to be Max's own phone number. He relayed this information to Patrick. "Hey, there's a package. There's a delivery at the gate for you," Max had said. However, when he received no response from Patrick, a troubling thought crossed his mind. Could this delivery driver be connected to the unfolding murder? As the investigation progressed, detectives made the decision to take Patrick's father and fiancé to the district office in Deltona. There, they would begin the process of gathering statements from the 2 initial victims. Meanwhile, crime scene investigations were underway as Patrick's body was transported to the medical examiner's office. As the investigation deepened, Jessica and Max found themselves in the interrogation room, where detectives sought any motive that could explain why someone would want Patrick dead. Jessica Divnani, just 29 years old, sat before them, her eyes filled with grief for her lost fiancé. Determined to assist in any way possible, she expressed her willingness to help. In her own words, she had already shared everything with law enforcement about her relationship with Patrick. It was June 2017, 8 months prior to the tragic event, and Jessica worked as a bank teller in Orlando, Florida. After ending a tumultuous relationship, Jessica had finally felt ready to move on. It was then that she decided to join a dating app. She recalled her initial skepticism, admitting that she had little hope of finding love. But just days later, a message arrived from Patrick. From the moment they met, she felt an undeniable connection. Patrick, with his intelligence and charisma, instantly captivated her. Jessica described it as love at first sight, and their relationship flourished from that point onward. "It was as if we were meant to meet each other," she recounted. Patrick had a magnetic presence that lit up any room. His vibrant personality brought joy, and he had a unique ability to make her laugh. "I loved everything about him," she continued, her voice trembling with emotion. There was not a mean bone in his body. He treated her like royalty. Jessica's gaze shifted as she reflected on their dreams. "We had our whole future planned out." Jessica painted a picture of their aspirations. Patrick longed for children and cherished his relationship with his mother. He was a devoted son who adored children, and together they envisioned a fairy tale life filled with laughter and love. Then came a pivotal moment in December 2017. "Patrick said to me, 'Mom, this one is the one,'" she recalled. That day, as they lay in bed, he surprised her with a proposal. Overwhelmed with joy, Jessica exclaimed, "Of course, I said yes!" It was a moment that would forever stand out as one of the happiest days of her life, marking the beginning of their engagement. Patrick had given her a temporary ring to wear while he arranged for a custom-made piece with a jeweler. She eagerly awaited the arrival of the ring he had designed just for her, a symbol of their love and commitment. In a heart-wrenching moment, Jessica recalled the last message Patrick had intended to send her. It was a simple yet profound expression of love. "I love you. Good night. Sweet dreams. Good morning. I'll call you after you text me later when I wake up." Tragically, he never had the chance to deliver those words. On the morning of February 27th, Jessica awoke to find a text from Patrick waiting for her. Yet, when she attempted to call him, her heart sank as the phone rang unanswered. At first, she brushed it off, thinking little of it. But as the hours passed and Patrick remained silent, unease settled in. She tried calling him repeatedly, the disbelief growing with each unanswered ring. It was unusual for him to ignore her calls, and a gnawing feeling told her something was terribly wrong. With a sense of urgency, Jessica rushed to work, her mind racing with fear. The drive felt interminable, heightened by the chilling threats the couple had recently received. "Call me now or all hell is going to break loose." Jessica dialed Patrick's father, Max, as they both desperately tried to reach Patrick. Max, too, was on the line with his girlfriend, Shannon, urging her to check on their son. While Jessica sped toward Patrick's house, Max listened intently as Shannon arrived at the scene. Suddenly, his demeanor shifted. Concerned, Jessica asked, "What's wrong? Is Patrick okay?" But silence fell heavy in response. Upon arrival, Jessica bolted to the door, only to find Patrick lying on the floor, surrounded by a pool of blood. The sight was horrific, searing into her memory as the worst thing one could ever witness. In that instant, her world shattered. With the gunman still unaccounted for, Detective Weaver and his team sprang into action, meticulously scouring the crime scene for any clues that might illuminate the tragic circumstances surrounding Patrick's death. The detectives quickly noted that nothing had been stolen from the home. All valuables remained untouched. This detail swiftly dismissed the notion of a robbery gone wrong. However, the 6 rounds fired, 4 of which struck Patrick, raised many questions. At the crime scene, only 2 spent shell casings were located, suggesting the shooter had the forethought to collect the evidence. Given their proximity to Patrick's body, it became evident that this was a calculated execution, not a random act of violence. It appeared that Patrick had been approaching the door when he was ambushed, never having the chance to respond. The shell casings were a distinctive .300 blackout, a caliber seldom seen in such cases, hinting at a premeditated assault. This high-caliber ammunition, typically used in AR-style weapons, indicated a violent confrontation fueled by intense rage, evident throughout the team's initial examination of the scene. As they continued their search, the detectives discovered surveillance cameras throughout the house. Hope flickered within them. Even if the footage didn't capture the murder itself, it might have recorded the perpetrator or a vehicle involved. However, as they made their way to Patrick's room, they were met with dismay. The DVR system had been ripped from the wall, missing entirely. It was clear now this was no random killing. A vendetta lay behind Patrick's murder. It was personal, meticulously planned, and executed with the precision of an assassination. Back at the station, Detective Weaver delved into the dark question of who could harbor such animosity toward Patrick. It was then that Jessica Divnani stepped forward. She recounted a bizarre incident that unfolded the month prior. In an unsettling twist, News 6 uncovered that Patrick had been shot at before the fateful day of January 24, 2018. About a month earlier, a neighbor had accused Patrick of trespassing on his property. In a reckless display, the neighbor fired 6 or 7 rounds into the air, intending to scare Patrick away. Miraculously, Patrick emerged unscathed, though he promptly reported the incident to the police. Helicopter footage captured moments of the man being tackled and arrested by law enforcement. Detective Weaver sensed a promising lead. They needed to locate the neighbor. Could he be the very shooter who stealthily came onto the property and fired at Patrick? Or perhaps he had descended upon him just hours after Patrick's lifeless body was discovered. Investigators dispatched a team to the neighbor's residence. "Is he home?" one officer inquired. "I don't know, but we're going to try one more time," came the response. However, after knocking on every door and window, their efforts yielded silence. Nobody was home. It was peculiar. A check through law enforcement databases revealed that this individual could not have committed the crime, as he was incarcerated at a local jail facility. That detail allowed them to rule him out as a suspect. Detective Weaver then turned to Jessica, probing for anyone else who might have harbored a motive to kill Patrick. It was at that moment she revealed a series of ominous voicemails the couple had received. In one haunting message, the caller ominously stated, "I'm making a phone call. I'm giving instructions, and I'm going to have my plan put into action. Call me back and talk to me. I'll talk to you soon." Fear gripped Jessica, recalling how this person had always lurked in the shadows of her life. It became clear that one person was deeply unsettled by Jessica's new relationship, her ex-boyfriend, Gregory Bender. Jessica informed the authorities of her previous relationship with him. Gregory Bender, a once successful hedge fund manager, had been relentlessly trying to rekindle their romance. In 2016, he lived in a lavish million-dollar home in Windermere, a wealthy suburb just outside of Orlando. Despite their past, the relationship had been far from idyllic. Over time, Bender's controlling nature intensified, leaving Jessica feeling increasingly trapped. She vividly recalled his possessiveness, threatening that if she ever left him, it would never end well. Their tumultuous relationship reached a critical juncture in early 2016 when Gregory was hospitalized for a medical procedure. Jessica decided to surprise him with a visit. But when she entered his hospital room, she was met with an unexpected sight. Another woman sat at his bedside. The confrontation was instant. "What are you doing here?" the woman demanded. Jessica, equally taken aback, replied, "What are you doing here?" The woman then revealed a ring, sealing the moment in betrayal. In a moment that felt surreal, Jessica Divnani confronted a shocking reality when a woman claimed, "I'm his wife." The woman was Damara Sanchez. Overwhelmed with confusion and anger, Jessica hurriedly left the hospital, her heart sinking. "I couldn't believe it. I was in shock," she recalled, grappling with the revelation. In the days that followed, Gregory Bender attempted to reach out to Jessica, seeking to mend their fractured relationship. His explanations were bizarre, revolving around a private marriage that failed to bring her any comfort. "I'm so sorry," he pleaded, insisting that his marriage to Damara was merely a business arrangement. He claimed it was akin to a transactional relationship, where he was merely helping her to secure her child's schooling. "I was not involved with Tamara in any intimate way at all," he asserted, describing their arrangement as more of a roommate situation that required his wife's income. Jessica, however, was not convinced. She demanded that Bender end his marriage and file for divorce, declaring that their relationship could not continue under such circumstances. "Break it off with her, or this is over," she firmly told him. Bender responded with hesitation, saying, "No, just give me a little bit more time. I'm going to make it happen." But Jessica had reached her breaking point and could no longer wait. The shocking truth of Gregory Bender's hidden marriage pushed Jessica to reclaim her life. Soon after, she made the decision to end her relationship with him. To her relief, she believed that chapter was finally closed, and she was ready to embrace a fresh start. While she felt hopeful about her future, Jessica had no inkling of the lengths Bender would go to in an attempt to win her back. "You can't do this to me," he warned, his voice filled with desperation. "I'm not going to let you go. You wanted to know my every move." Determined to cut ties, Jessica blocked Bender from all her social media platforms. "I wanted him to leave me alone," she said. But Bender escalated his behavior, bombarding her with calls and reaching out to her family in a desperate bid for attention. He even resorted to stalking her online and appearing unannounced at her workplace. "When the police came to my job, I had the officer listen to the voice message he left," Jessica recounted. His words were menacing. "Don't push me here. All I'm asking is to talk to you right now. Unblock me. Enough is enough," he pleaded, but the police dismissed the severity of his harassment. "We can't do anything based on verbal harassment," they told her, leaving Jessica feeling trapped and powerless. They even reached out to Bender, reporting back to Jessica that he seemed calm and collected. "Yes, that's Bender. He's very conniving that way," she explained to Detective Weaver, exposing the dark manipulation behind his demeanor. Bender's jealousy festered, unable to bear the thought of Jessica moving on. Yet a month later, Jessica met Patrick Delacerda, and they began their own relationship. "I wanted to be clear with Patrick that I had a very jealous ex-boyfriend," she confessed, the fear of Bender looming overhead. Concerned about her safety, Jessica asked Patrick, "Please, I don't want our picture up on Facebook. If Greg ever finds out—" Patrick, however, was determined to share their love with the world. He refused to hide their relationship, eventually convincing Jessica to post a single picture on Facebook, a bold move that would change everything. In a desperate bid for safety, Jessica Divnani created a new social media profile, erasing her old one and blocking Gregory Bender entirely. Yet despite her efforts, he uncovered her connection to both her and Patrick Delacerda through Facebook. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. Bender escalated his behavior, now threatening Patrick as well. He had tracked down Patrick's personal information online, including his address and phone number, effectively turning his obsession into a chilling reality. Bender even went so far as to search for Patrick's mother. In a sinister taunt, Bender declared, "I know where your mom lives. I'm going to harm you guys. I'm coming to your residence. You better leave Jessica right away. I can't believe you did this to me and you didn't tell me about it. This is going to end. He is going to end." Bender's threats hung in the air like a dark cloud. "Call me now, or all hell is going to break loose." Taking these threats seriously, Patrick swiftly installed a security system at his home. To further fortify his defenses, he erected a fence at the entrance of his property. Yet Gregory Bender remained undeterred. As time passed, the tension only escalated. "I'm making a phone call, giving instructions, and I'm going to have my plan put into action," he ominously stated. "Call me back and talk to me now." The threat loomed large. In November 2017, Jessica and Patrick reached a breaking point. They presented a damning collection of tapes and text messages to a judge, who granted them a restraining order against Bender. The order mandated Bender to stay away from Jessica and required him to surrender his extensive collection of firearms to the authorities. With the restraining order in place, Bender was prohibited from contacting her in any form. No calls, no messages, no contact whatsoever. He was forbidden from approaching Jessica's workplace or her home, and Patrick's residence was included in the restraining order as well. For a moment, it seemed as if the storm had passed. The threats and harassment ceased, allowing Patrick and Jessica to breathe a sigh of relief. "We thought he had gone away," Jessica recalled. The silence was reassuring, and confidence began to return. However, that calm was shattered when Gregory Bender violated the restraining order, making a phone call to Jessica at work. It marked the first breach in 2 months. It was the morning of Patrick's murder when Bender called Jessica not once, but twice. "He called you this morning?" a voice confirmed. "Yeah, on my work phone. He's not allowed to call me." Fear gripped her as Patrick was with her at that moment. Upon seeing the caller ID, she immediately recognized it was Gregory Bender. Her instincts screamed danger, and a sense of dread washed over her. By then, it was painfully clear. Bender had emerged as the prime suspect. Detective Weaver had finally zeroed in on a suspect in Patrick's murder. It was time for Jessica to return Gregory Bender's calls, but this time, the police would be listening, recording every word. The investigators hoped for a confession, a slip of the tongue that would unveil the truth. But the outcome was uncertain, hinging entirely on Jessica's ability to navigate the dangerous waters of her past with Bender. Hours after she discovered her fiancé's lifeless body, police directed Jessica to make a call to the man they suspected had taken Patrick's life. That very night, she was instructed to reach out to elicit a confession. Fear coursed through her veins. The mere thought of speaking to Bender terrified her. For months, she had done everything possible to avoid him, and now she was faced with the daunting task of confronting him. Yet, her resolve to seek justice for Patrick eclipsed her fear. "I just wanted to try to do everything I could to help the investigation," she later recounted. Her determination to solve the mystery surrounding Patrick's murder was unwavering. Without hesitation, she agreed to make the call. "Put him on speaker," she instructed, her voice trembling. "Hello? Hello? Hi." As she spoke, the nerves gripped her tightly. She had no idea how Gregory Bender would respond. Before Jessica could voice her thoughts, Gregory Bender interrupted, expressing his sorrow. He had seen the news and wanted to convey his condolences. Yet Jessica, consumed by anger, unleashed her emotions. She confronted him fiercely, declaring, "You ruined my life. You got your revenge, and you ruined my life." Bender feigned confusion, replying, "What are you talking about?" His frustration escalated as he claimed he could no longer bear the weight of the situation. He threatened, "I'm going to hire a hitman. I'm going to kill him." But Bender's calm demeanor belied the gravity of his words. There was no panic in his voice. Rather, it felt rehearsed, as though he anticipated being recorded. Jessica's instincts kicked in, and she pressed him further. "Why did you call me on the morning that Patrick passed away?" she demanded. Bender dismissed her inquiry, claiming it was a mistake, an accidental dial, thinking he had reached a coworker. The odds of such accidents occurring twice seemed implausible. Jessica's suspicions deepened. "That's why I want to find out if it is you." Bender quickly countered. "No, it's not. I'm your friend. I did not do this." While Jessica fought to uncover the truth, Bender remained evasive, careful not to incriminate himself. As the conversation neared its end, Bender made a surprising proposition. "Let's meet up. Let's talk," he suggested, mere hours after Jessica's fiancé had been brutally murdered. Bender's offer to meet Jessica, so soon after the tragedy, raised alarm bells. It seemed he was desperately attempting to win her back. The control call had been a significant move on Jessica's part, showcasing her determination to uncover the truth. However, the evidence against Bender remained circumstantial, offering no solid ground for an arrest on the charge of first-degree murder. Yet, it became clear that Bender might be aware that the investigators were closing in on him. The urgency to act mounted, as they feared he might eliminate any evidence that could link him to the crime. In a calculated decision, investigators chose to arrest Bender for violating a restraining order. This would give them a mere 24 hours to solidify their case against him. Even with him behind bars, Detective Weaver faced a daunting challenge. He lacked concrete proof connecting Bender to the murder. Then, a breakthrough arrived from an unexpected source. Just days into the investigation, a phone call came in from Tamara Sanchez, Bender's wife. What had compelled her to come forward? Having seen the news of Patrick Delacerta's murder, Tamara was anxious but determined. She claimed to possess information that could aid the investigation. Trembling with nerves, she expressed her reluctance for the police to visit her home, revealing how deeply the unfolding events had unsettled her. Tamara was terrified as she approached the meeting with investigators. She refused to meet at a police station or sheriff's office, insisting instead on a secluded parking lot a few miles outside of town. As the officers arrived, she quickly climbed into the police car, visibly shaken and struggling to articulate her thoughts. Shock engulfed her. She was profoundly afraid of Gregory Bender. Months before the murder of Patrick Delacerta, Tamara had stumbled upon a notebook belonging to Greg, but she had no idea of the dark secrets it contained. Initially, Tamara believed it was just a journal. One day, while Greg was at home, curiosity got the better of her. She perused the pages, uncovering a chilling murder plan. She recalled fragments of the notes. What did it say? Something about going there? I need to remember the clothes. The notes detailed how to observe the area, to see how many cars were present, and to take a cell phone. It was a meticulously crafted scheme. But what kind of plan was it? A plan to do what? The clues pointed ominously towards the intention of committing murder. The notebook contained what appeared to be directions to Patrick's house, schematics, and a playbook authored by Gregory Bender on how he intended to commit the crime, gain entry, escape, and destroy any evidence. When confronted, Bender dismissed the contents as mere fantasy. He insisted to Tamara that it was all a figment of his imagination, and she chose to believe him, dropping the matter. Now, 2 months later, Patrick lay dead. This crucial information, provided by Gregory Bender's wife, would change everything. Armed with this newfound knowledge, authorities secured a search warrant for Bender's home in Windermere. The notion that Bender had documented his intentions in a notebook could prove invaluable to the investigation, but Detective Weaver remained skeptical about finding it. After all, the man who had shot and killed Patrick had gone to great lengths to hide his identity. The investigators were particularly focused on locating the .300 blackout caliber ammunition found at the murder scene, the murder weapon, and that elusive notebook containing the murder plan. Failure to find these crucial items would leave them back at square one, with no proof that Gregory Bender had killed Patrick Delacerda. Yet, as Detective Weaver entered Bender's home, he was about to make the most shocking discovery of his career. In the office, he scanned the area and noticed a recycling bin filled with crumpled-up handwritten pages. He leaned closer, and to his astonishment, he found a map resting atop the refuse. It was a hand-drawn map on torn pages from a spiral notebook, and the sheer shock of discovery left him speechless. It was almost unbelievable that Bender had carelessly discarded such a critical piece of evidence, forgetting to properly dispose of it. The contents were chilling. The map included directions to Patrick Delacerda's home on Talon Boulevard, and the sketch of the property was strikingly accurate. This find could be the key to unraveling the entire case. The meticulously penned bullet points of the murder plan laid bare the chilling foresight of Gregory Bender. Each directive offered a grim insight into his calculated method. To don duct tape on a second pair of shoes, ensuring no tread prints would betray him. To wait for the unsettling silence that confirmed he was alone, and to deactivate all cell phones, erasing any digital trace of his actions. Bender's plan encompassed more than mere stealth. He instructed himself to dispose of clothes, place a tracker, and wear gloves, all suggesting a premeditated intent to kill. Yet, investigators needed something concrete, a physical connection to the crime scene. Inside his home, they stumbled upon a chilling arsenal: ammunition, multiple firearms, and body armor, each piece whispering secrets of his intent. The sheer volume of weaponry discovered was a blatant violation of the restraining order against Bender, who had been mandated to surrender all firearms to authorities. Among the finds, investigators uncovered a significant quantity of .300 blackout bullets, a detail that would prove pivotal. These were the very bullets that had ended the life of Patrick Delacerda. Yet, curiously absent from Bender's collection was the AR-15, the firearm capable of firing those deadly rounds. It was evident that he had disposed of the weapon following the murder, a desperate attempt to erase his involvement. Despite the glaring signs pointing to Gregory Bender's guilt, the police were hindered by the lack of a murder weapon and any proof that he had physically been at the crime scene. As the thorough search of the house drew to a close, Detective Weaver made one final fateful sweep of a junk drawer in the kitchen. There, he unearthed a critical piece of evidence: a spent .300 blackout shell casing. Though not a live round, this discharged casing stood as a potential anchor, a tangible link that could tie Gregory Bender directly to the scene of the crime. This shell casing represented the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. With it, they could now establish probable cause. On March 1, 2018, less than 48 hours following Patrick Delacerda's tragic death, Gregory Bender faced charges of first-degree murder. However, unbeknownst to investigators, a video would soon surface, one that would drastically alter the life of Jessica Divnani. Bender's defense attorneys were preparing to wield this footage as a weapon against her in court. Jessica recounted her feelings, sharing, "They informed me the next morning that Greg was arrested. I felt relieved and was eager to go to trial. It was a long road. 2 years after the murder, we finally got to see the trial. Yet those years had been the darkest of her life. Everything was a blur. Every night was a nightmare," she lamented. "Jessica and I felt victimized every single day for 3.5 years because we had no voice. Absolutely no voice." Through this harrowing ordeal, Jessica found solace in the support of Patrick's family, particularly his mother, whose unwavering love offered her strength. "Being at the trial was very hard," she admitted, "but we would face it together." The date was May 25, 2021, 3 years since Patrick de la Cerda's murder. As the trial commenced, Gregory Bender entered the courtroom, exuding a confidence that bordered on arrogance, his demeanor suggesting he believed victory was within his grasp. The evidence against Bender was undeniably compelling, yet the absence of a murder weapon, eyewitnesses, and DNA at the crime scene cast a long shadow over the case. Ultimately, it was a circumstantial web, intricately woven but lacking the final threads that would secure a conviction. Patrick de la Cerda became the tragic victim of a calculated murder, executed with chilling precision. He was shot 4 times, the bullets striking his head, face, chest, and hip, leaving behind a haunting scene that would forever alter the lives of those who loved him. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that the web of motive and opportunity extended well beyond a singular culprit. Gregory Bender, driven by greed, wielded his wealth to secure top-notch defense attorneys. Confidence surged among the investigators. They believed they had a strong case, but understood the need for an even more compelling narrative to ensure justice. Inside the courtroom, a thick silence enveloped the room, filled only with the weight of anticipation as the opening statements began. Gregory Bender's gaze bore down on Jessica Divnani, her presence a painful reminder of the life he had shattered. For Jessica, it felt as though she was locked in a battle against the very monster who had taken her fiancé from her. Throughout the trial, Bender's eyes remained glued to her, a predatory fixation that sent shivers down her spine. Despite warnings from the court, he continued to stare, his gaze a constant reminder of the torment she had endured. Curiosity consumed him as he focused on who Jessica might be sitting with during the proceedings. As she sat in the audience, flanked by Patrick's grieving family, Bender's jealousy flared at the sight of Patrick's brother, whom he suspected could be a new romantic interest for Jessica. Even in the courtroom, Bender's jealousy was palpable, simmering beneath the surface as the prosecution called their first witness to the stand, Jessica Divnani. With steely resolve, she approached the podium, ready to confront the man who had stolen her beloved fiancé and to reveal the truth that had festered in the shadows prior to the murder. The decision to present Jessica as a key witness was not taken lightly. The prosecution sought to illuminate the truth of her harrowing experience, understanding the weight of their responsibility to ensure that Patrick's murderer faced the full force of justice. Despite her determination, a wave of anxiety washed over Jessica as she prepared to relive the darkest moments of her life. But Jessica was about to face a formidable challenge. The defense attorneys were poised to launch a fierce attack on her credibility, armed with a series of secretly recorded videos that threatened to undermine her testimony. The footage revealed Jessica sharing a seemingly innocent lunch with Bender on November 7, 2017, just months into her relationship with Patrick. A week later, another video surfaced, capturing the pair dining together and leaving Bender's home, a stark juxtaposition to the narrative of her devotion to Patrick. The recordings depicted Bender inappropriately touching Jessica's leg and leaning in for a kiss, designed to convince the jury that the two had maintained a romantic connection. The defense seized upon this evidence, questioning her fidelity. "You started dating Patrick in June. Why are you dining with Greg and going to Greg's house in November if you're happily moving on with Patrick?" Yet Jessica was prepared for the confrontation. Drawing upon her strength, she delivered a statement that sent shockwaves through the courtroom, turning the defense's strategy back against them. "Because the defendant was threatening me, and I was trying to calm him down. He said that if I went to see him, he would not harm anyone. I felt really odd. It seemed like he was trying to put on a show because he kept trying to get close to me, trying to hold my hand, which he never used to do. I was like, 'What are you doing? What are you trying to do?'" In a startling revelation, Jessica Divnani uncovered the truth behind the secretly recorded videos. They were a calculated setup, orchestrated by none other than Gregory Bender, who had hired a private investigator to follow her. The implications were staggering. "You actually saw these videos? What did he do with them?" she was asked, her voice trembling with the weight of betrayal. "He had given them to Patrick," Jessica disclosed, her eyes reflecting the turmoil of their relationship. "Did that cause some strife between you and Patrick?" came the probing question. "Yes, we had a fight and we broke up for a few days," she admitted, the pain still palpable. "Did the two of you end up getting back together after that?" "Yes," she confirmed, a hint of relief in her voice. Throughout the trial, Gregory Bender maintained an unsettling stoicism. This facade began to crack when his ex-wife, Damara Sanchez, took the stand. She was the woman he had claimed to have married solely for business purposes. "Were you married to Mr. Bender?" the attorney asked. "Yes," she replied, her voice steady as she faced the man who had once been her husband. As Damara began her testimony, Gregory Bender's composure shattered. For the first time in the trial, emotion overtook him. After her powerful testimony, Bender was seen across the gallery whispering, "I love you," to her, a stark contrast to the darkness that surrounded him. The jury now bore witness to the complexities of Gregory Bender's character. As Damara continued her testimony, Bender's emotional facade crumbled. For the first time, the jury witnessed the man behind the cold exterior. After her impactful words, he leaned across the gallery, whispering, "I love you," a haunting admission that revealed the duality of his nature. The court was poised to uncover the meticulous details of Gregory Bender's chilling murder plot. The time had come to expose the events that transpired on the morning of Patrick Delacerda's murder. A crucial piece of evidence remained hidden, waiting to determine Bender's fate. This evidence had the potential to unravel Gregory Bender's carefully crafted scheme. He believed he could outsmart law enforcement with his flawless plan, but he made a critical miscalculation. On February 27, 2018, at 6:13 a.m., a neighbor's security camera captured Gregory Bender's car leaving his residence, setting the stage for the unfolding tragedy. He drove for 45 minutes from Windermere to Patrick's house in Deltona. Upon arrival, he switched into a second pair of shoes, reinforced with duct tape, before stealthily approaching the property. The dirt road, meticulously outlined in his murderous plan, ran alongside a heavily wooded area. It is believed he walked the remaining distance until he reached an opening at 7:15 a.m., hidden from sight. Bender lay in wait, just out of sight, while he made a deceptive phone call to Max, posing as a delivery driver. As Max relayed the false information to Patrick via text, Bender remained poised, his rifle aimed at the front door. Just a few feet away, he could see through the glass. He was determined not to miss his target. When Patrick descended the stairs, Bender unleashed a barrage of bullets, firing 6 shots through the front door. In that moment, Gregory Bender channeled all his rage and jealousy into those shots, fulfilling his singular goal, to end the life of Patrick Delacerda. In the aftermath, he likely felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, believing he had successfully executed what he considered the perfect murder, convinced he would escape unscathed. But in his haste, Bender dashed inside, tearing the DVR from the wall as he fled the house, leaving behind a trail of evidence that would seal his fate. In a calculated move, Gregory Bender collected the shell casings from the scene, leaving 2 behind. He disposed of the rest but kept one, a critical piece of evidence tightly linking him to the crime. After hiding the murder weapon, he clutched the shell casing like a macabre trophy, a reminder of his dark deed. This single casing served as a grim memento, an emblem of his fleeting triumph, although it would ultimately prove to be a grave mistake. Law enforcement in Florida confirmed a chilling connection. The 2 casings found at the crime scene were fired from the same weapon as the solitary shell casing discovered in Gregory Bender's junk drawer. Bender was haunted by the life that Jessica Divnani had abandoned him for. She would never return to him, not while Patrick Delacerda was alive. This case starkly illustrated the painful divide between fantasy and the harsh realities of life. While it's true that people should not be defined solely by their darkest thoughts, even when those thoughts are laid bare, that is exactly what transpired in this case. On May 28th, after 3 arduous days of testimony, the trial finally reached its fateful conclusion. After only a few hours of deliberation, the jury emerged with their verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant, Gregory Bender, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. In the state of Florida, a conviction for first-degree murder carries an automatic life sentence without the possibility of parole. The prosecutor addressed the court with a resolute voice, thanking everyone for ensuring that evil would remain confined. "I hope you remain imprisoned until your dying breath," he declared, a chilling promise that echoed in the courtroom. The mother of the victim delivered her own haunting words. "The moment you step foot outside, I will finish what you started. You took my son, Max. You must face the judge. Her grief was palpable as she continued. I will miss my son. He was a beautiful soul, a wonderful kid. In a somber moment, she expressed her hope for Patrick de la Cerda, saying, I hope you find peace, Patrick. Rest assured, the man who took your life will pay for his actions. Together with Patrick's mother, they visited the cemetery in West Palm Beach. They brought cake and champagne, yearning to share the bittersweet news with Patrick, celebrating his posthumous victory. We finally did it, she said, her voice thick with emotion. We secured the guilty verdict. The only solace I find is knowing that my chance at love was lost. Patrick had love in his heart when he tragically passed. He was on his way to get the engagement ring, a symbol of his devotion, but he never had the opportunity to give it to Jessica. On her 30th birthday, Jessica Divnani finally placed the ring on her finger, a testament to their love. This surprise was orchestrated by Patrick's family, a poignant gesture that connected the past with the present. I wear my ring daily, a symbol of the love between Patrick and me, she reflected. Patrick will always be the love of my life. This ring is one of the last remnants I have of him, a tangible connection to his memory. I want Patrick to be remembered with nothing but love, she declared, her voice steady. His love for everyone was profound. Patrick taught Jessica to embrace life fully, and she strives each day to make him proud, knowing that's what he would have wanted for her. For Patrick, I will carry on. His joyful memories will remain close to my heart.